All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for showing up this morning to officially welcome back Kelly Kroskoff as President of Basketball Business Operations for the Indiana.
Nobody saw this coming. Not the fans, not the players, not even the league itself. The Indiana Fever, a franchise that was once invisible, is now at the center of the biggest controversy in women's sports. And it all comes down to one decision. A decision made behind closed doors by the most powerful person in the organization. Now fans are asking one question. To understand why this moment is so explosive, you have to go back to what Indiana Fever used to be. 6 wins in 2021, 5 wins in 2022, 13 wins in 2023. For nearly a decade, they were irrelevant. No fans, no spotlight, no national attention. The WNBA moved forward, and the Fever were left behind. Until one moment changed everything. The first overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, Caitlin Clark didn't just join the league. She transformed it. Sold out arenas, record-breaking TV ratings, jerseys flying off shelves. For the first time in years, the Indiana Fever mattered. But with that spotlight came pressure, because now the organization had to decide. That decision became clear when the Fever brought back Kelly Kroskoff as President of Basketball Operations, a respected executive, architect of the Fever's 2012 championship team. On paper, it made perfect sense. But then came the quote that changed everything. On-screen text quote. "This is about the Indiana Fever. We want to build a lasting brand, like Apple." At first it sounded like vision, but months later, fans heard something else. A warning. In July 2025, that clip resurfaced. And within hours, it went viral. Fans weren't celebrating. They were furious. Because to them, comparing the Fever to Apple meant one thing. Caitlin Clark was being treated like a piece, not the centerpiece. One fan wrote, "You don't downplay a generational talent." Another warned, "This franchise will regret this." And then something strange happened. Kelly Kroskoff's social media presence. But while the front office faced backlash, a different story was unfolding inside the locker room. Teammates like Lexi Hull revealed something shocking. There was jealousy across the league. Not inside the Fever, but from opponents. Visuals, physical fouls, aggressive plays. Teams weren't just trying to win. They were targeting Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham confirmed it. There were conversations around the league about sending a message. And fans saw it happen. Game after game. Hard fouls. Physical play. Relentless pressure. Until finally, injuries struck. Caitlin Clark's 2025 season was cut short. A groin injury, limiting her to just a handful of games. And suddenly, everything changed. Ticket sales dropped. TV ratings declined. The numbers told a brutal truth. At the same time, criticism grew louder. Some media voices claimed Clark was creating locker room issues, that teammates weren't happy. But when Caitlin Clark responded, she didn't attack anyone. She stayed calm, recreated quote tone. People think they know what happens behind closed doors, but they don't. And her teammates backed her up, publicly. Celebrations. Support. Real chemistry. The narrative didn't match reality. This was never about locker room drama. It was about something much bigger. A clash between two philosophies. Build around a generational superstar, or build a long-term brand. Kelly Kroskoff made it clear. She was thinking long-term, talking about legacy, future generations, sustainable success. But fans saw it differently, because they knew one thing. People weren't showing up for a brand. They were showing up for Caitlin Clark. And the impact went beyond fans. Players around the league wanted to join Indiana. Some even took pay cuts just for the chance to play with her. Because Caitlin Clark made everyone better. She didn't just elevate a team, she elevated the entire league. And that made the front office decision even more controversial. Now heading into 2026, the situation is more uncertain than ever. Roster changes, expansion draft losses, injury concerns, and one massive question. Will the Fever fully commit to Caitlin Clark or continue building something beyond her. Because if they get this wrong, they risk losing the most important player in franchise history. This isn't just a team decision. It's a defining moment for the WNBA, a test of what matters more, the system or the superstar. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's a movement. And the next decision the Fever make could change everything. Pause. And if the league is watching closely, you can bet one thing. This story is far from over. If you want the truth behind the biggest stories in sports, make sure to subscribe. Because what's coming next, you won't hear anywhere else. The controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever is not just another sports headline. It represents a defining moment in modern women's basketball, where business strategy, superstar power, and league evolution collide in real time. To fully understand why the Fever president's decision has stunned the entire league, you have to look beyond a single quote or viral clip and instead examine the deeper tension that has been building since Clark entered the WNBA. Before her arrival, the Indiana Fever were struggling to remain relevant, posting some of the worst records in the league and fading into near anonymity with low attendance, minimal media attention, and little national impact. That all changed overnight when Caitlin Clark was drafted as the #1 overall pick in 2024. She didn't just bring talent. She brought a movement. Almost instantly, arenas sold out, television ratings surged, merchandise sales skyrocketed, and the Fever transformed from one of the least visible teams into the most talked-about franchise in the league. Clark's influence extended beyond the court, drawing new fans to women's basketball and forcing the entire WNBA into a brighter spotlight. However, with that level of influence came a new kind of pressure, one that the Fever organization had never faced before. The return of Kelly Kroskoff as president of basketball operations initially seemed like a logical move. She had a proven track record, including helping build the Fever's 2012 championship team, and her experience suggested stability at a time of rapid growth. But it was her vision, not her resume, that ignited controversy. During a press conference, Kroskoff emphasized the importance of building the Indiana Fever into a long-lasting brand, even comparing the organization to Apple. At the time, the statement did not attract major criticism, but as the season progressed and Clark's influence became undeniable, those words began to carry a different meaning. When the clip resurfaced months later, it triggered a wave of backlash across social media, with fans interpreting the message as a sign that the organization might prioritize long-term branding over fully embracing its generational superstar. For many supporters, the comparison to Apple raised concerns about whether Clark was being viewed as the centerpiece of the franchise or simply one part of a broader corporate vision. This perception quickly escalated into frustration, with fans arguing that once-in-a-generation players are rare and should be treated as the foundation of a team's identity, not just a component of it. As the debate intensified online, another layer of the story began to emerge, one that highlighted the unique challenges Clark faced on the court. Reports and player comments suggested that opposing teams were not only focused on winning games, but also on physically challenging Clark in ways that drew attention from fans and analysts alike. Teammates like Sophie Cunningham and others hinted that there had been conversations around the league about targeting her, reflecting both the competitive intensity she brought and the spotlight she carried. This narrative gained further traction as Clark dealt with injuries, including a groin issue that limited her playing time during a critical stretch of the season. Her absence had an immediate and measurable impact. Attendance declined, viewership numbers dropped, and the Fever's momentum slowed significantly. These changes reinforced what many fans already believed, that Clark was not just an important player, but the driving force behind the team's newfound relevance. At the same time, media narratives began to question her impact within the locker room, with some suggesting that her rapid rise and overwhelming attention might create tension among teammates. However, evidence from within the team painted a different picture. Public displays of support, celebrations, and positive interactions suggested strong chemistry and mutual respect, contradicting claims of internal conflict. Clark herself addressed the speculation with composure, emphasizing that outsiders often misunderstand what happens behind closed doors. This contrast between external narratives and internal reality added another dimension to the controversy, raising questions about how media coverage shapes public perception, especially when it involves a high-profile athlete like Clark.